Well, hello, ladies, gentlemen, and whoever or whatever you identify as. Welcome back to the Shed of Dread. Welcome to another Why We Love Doctor Who stream. And here we go. We're going to try and fix Series 12 and The Timeless Child. This should be interesting. Can I introduce you, ladies and gentlemen, to our new guest, Burrunjor? You okay, mate? You okay?
Yeah, absolutely fine.
Awesome. Golden Age Geek, nice to see you again.
Well, happy to be here.
As always, lovely. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you no other than John the White. How you doing, John? How's things going?
Hiya, Gobby. Oh, look, the Time Prophet is trying to get on my good side right away.
I know. Look at that.
What about a stream? What we love about John the White.
We could do that.
I have a slight feeling there might be a drawback. The opposite stream might be longer.
That'd be an interesting chat, that one.
But it's the thought that counts. Yeah, you've got to think about the drawbacks
indeed.
when you do these things on the internet. But it's delightful to be with everybody today. And now we've got some updates to do before we get into this.
We have
The first is my pancreas cancer update is I'm not dead yet.
Yes.
Right, next item.
Next item. I'm still going.
Next week we've gone and done it again.
Oh,
So we will not be continuing with the series 5 Why We Love Doctor Who stream because we have something else special to bring you. Next week we will be talking exclusively with none other than Archives 1963 himself, Mr. Philip Morris.
Oh, there
So
you
we
go.
brought you Ian Levine, now we bring you the other side, the dark side of the Force,
The
so
dark
to
side
say.
of the Force, yes, indeed.
But Philip is a very good friend of mine, and I'm greatly looking forward to the chance to talk to him. And I will try and get him to at least answer something in a way that hasn't been said before.
It'll be interesting.
You know, I know that Philip is a person that some people would just love to wring information out of, and I'm sorry, that will not be happening, and I will not be hassling him to tell me the names of missing episodes or anything like that, but I can think of one or two things. Sometimes it's about how you coach things, so I reckon we could get him to tell us some interesting stuff all the same. Philip's a wonderful character, and you know, obviously he brought us back Web of Fear, Enemy of the World, and he's done so much to recover so much lost TV. But he's just a legend in his own right. He's a force of nature in his own right. And next week he's here with us. Okay, this week is what matters. Now, this is of course part 13 of Why We Love Doctor Who.
An amazing number, perfectly numbered.
Yes, and we thought, oh, that's a bit of a cursed number. And we thought, well, let's be honest, we're just not going to be doing Why We Love Doctor Who Series 11, Series 12, and Series 13 because they will be terribly, terribly difficult streams and really quite short and painful and probably unsatisfactory. So we thought, okay, we need to find another way of addressing this because it doesn't feel right to talk about love for Doctor Who and then just leave the Chibnall era completely forgotten on the floor.
Indeed.
So we thought, why don't we try and show the Chibnall era some love? By which, not in going, no, Chibnall, great, what we did was brilliant. We can't do that. It's not true. But what we can do is say, okay, you had these ideas and they were somewhat unsuccessful. But what if we took these ideas in good faith, had a good think about them, and thought about how could we actually make these ideas work? So this is a mad mission.
And insane one,
and for this challenging quest, we are joined by our expert assistants and brain power. We've got brain power with us, Gobby. I have faith in these guys. We've got Golden Age Geek and Burrunjor to add their brain power to my own. And then together in some sort of time and army fashion, we may be able to produce some kind of brain creative that could actually make Series 12
bearable.
Good, even. So that's our mission. Is there a way we could use our super brains and our abilities as super Doctor Who fans and super creative science fiction fans to take those terrible ideas and actually change them enough that we reckon this would have made a really good show. That's what we're trying to do.
It's a good
And
attempt.
for the sake of the audience, I also want to spend a little bit of time here introducing Burrunjor.
Yes, indeed.
Because Burrunjor is a guy I respect greatly.
Thanks very much.
No, I'm having it out there up front. When I respect somebody, I will say it. And Burrunjor's blog has been brilliant. What's the web address for your blog?
Oh, well, I've got two. There's Burrunjor's Rambles and Babbles. That's my blog where I post like opinion pieces. That hasn't been as active recently because I've more been focusing on my original fiction, Burrunjor's Tall Tales. So, but yeah, the opinion piece, it's Burrunjor. If you want to find it, just put in burrunjor.com Doctor Who and it'll probably bring up
Can we get those in the description for Burrunjor later, Gobby? We'll get those in the description for you so it's easy for people to click through.
No problem. Will do.
So what I respect greatly about you is that you had your eyes open when most everybody else did not. And you were warning about wokeness, as we now all know it, creeping into Doctor Who, even back when Matt Smith was a doctor. And
yes,
you were paying attention at the campaign, the orchestrated campaign to attack Stephen Moffat got underway. And you could see what was happening with labeling as sexist, labeling as racist. Most of fandom's memory hold that any of this even happened,
Yes,
especially the J-bots. They've got no idea what brackets, quote, their side did to the previous showrunner, because most of them live in this little bubble where everything's warm and cozy. They don't see that a lot of the people they follow have been real assholes over the years.
Oh yeah.
They're blind to it. But we're not. We see, we remember, and we come with receipts.
Yeah, I mean, I've got links to lots of articles that I've written. I mean, to me, it all really started, I think, maybe about 2000 and possibly even 2010. But when I first became aware of it, I went on the Doctor Who IMDb boards. Some people might remember from there if you were part of it.
You caused a huge storm on those boards. I mean, it is 11 years ago. But,
yeah, I did. Well, see, I didn't. So that was the
splash.
That was the funny thing. At first, everybody agreed. In fact, I wasn't even the only one that said it. I actually found out a lot of what was going on from some other users there. But it was as soon, I think, at the 50th anniversary when it started to become clear that Stephen Moffat was now kind of being swayed into thinking, "Oh, actually, I should do this because people have called me a sexist." That's when a lot of the users started to, move in that direction. I think a lot of them were such diehard Stephen Moffat fans that they go along with anything he said. I mean, it's pretentious, but I think that's what happened.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because, as a group of people, I mean, you're kind of describing that you watched the Overton window shift in real time. Over a period of time. Because you could see that at first you were in the comfortable place where nobody was at all uncomfortable expressing the common sense view that wokeness would be stupid, right, in whatever way. But as time went on and people's resolve weakened, you saw people be swayed. You saw what was permitted opinion sort of shift. And then, of course we all know that is a snowballing process that led us to the hell that was Doctor Who social media in 2018.
The best thing is
a logical progression, isn't it? Sorry, you carry on, mate.
Oh no, sorry, no. I was just agreeing with you saying about that it's a snowballing process because I remember, when Missy first came about in 2014, a lot of them I was saying, "Oh God, this is the first step. We're not only going to get a female doctor." I mean, not to brag, but there's even a post I made. It was on the Hive, one of the versions of it, where I said, "I bet you they'll have it. William Hartnell isn't even the first doctor anymore. It'll be a black woman." Seriously.
Wow.
That was about 2017.
Once you understand the mentality of the woke, but you understand what sort of things attract them to target, don't you? So you know the primacy of the first Doctor as an old man. That's got to freaking go. You know, I mean, the Time Lords as a society of patriarchal old codgers. That's got to go. And that brings us ever so much to Series 12, doesn't it? Because
last thing I was going to say was about Missy, that a lot of them said back then. This was just getting back to what you said. A lot of them said that Missy, don't worry, now that that's happened, there won't be a female Doctor. Like, that's satisfied the need for it. They're not going to bother. That's to, not avoid having a female Doctor. And well, look how that turned out.
The reality was very different. The reality was very different. The reality was the BBC at that point was already committed to the next Doctor being female. The BBC had already decided there was no way they were going to have another middle-aged white man.
No.
So, I mean, so Missy was... I mean, we could call it an experiment. And I think from Moffat's point of view, it was an experiment. And I also think, God, if Moffat had done the female Doctor instead, it would have gone so much better. Because at least he could write a female Time Lord, but...
I hate Missy, I'm sorry.
As it was, they always knew they were going to do a female Doctor. They knew it. And it was to soften us up. That's what I'm trying to get to. It was to soften us up. So was the regeneration of the Time Lord General in Hellbent in Series 9.
Yeah.
That was, again, oh, look, there you are, everybody. You just saw a Time Lord change sex.
Yeah.
So you've seen it happen in front of your eyes. You've seen that, you've seen that Missy's done it. You've seen it happen in front of your eyes. Who's next? I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, obviously.
You even had Peter Capaldi going on about the future's female.
Yep.
Oh, God.
We can but hope. So, I mean, Moffat knew the direction. I mean, when we get to why we love Series 10, I think there is a strong case can be made that Moffat was actually trying to push back as good as he could against this stuff, whereas, we saw it happen with Chibnall, which just fell over, But, I mean, Moffat wasn't a pushover. They had to push against him to get him to do it, and everything we got out of him was done somewhat grudgingly, and if he could find a way to do it but wasn't quite doing it in their way, he did, I mean, so there's a lot we could discuss about the intricacies of how Moffat responded to the situation, but the fact is the same. It was all one direction of travel. And Series 12 is where it was supposed to all come true. Burrunjor, how aware were you of the feminist front, the Doctor Who feminist front? Do you remember them what they were saying?
Well, yes, I do. And now, one thing I want to make completely clear is that...
You see here, everybody, he saw it. He knows they were real. They're true. They did exist. I get people tell me they didn't exist. Can you believe that?
That drives me nuts. These ones that try and pretend they're impartial and then play dumb, like, oh, who are these feminists? Oh, God, that just...
It was only a 10,000 strong bloody Facebook page.
Oh, that's
I mean, not as if you wouldn't notice it.
Insignificant.
Oh, and the WordPress. Oh, God, for WordPress. Did you ever see that WordPress? Jesus.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree, but one thing...
I mean, talk about... Well, I won't even dare say the word on... I can't say a word on YouTube, but, there's a certain apocalyptic worldview on the go at the moment, where a certain bunch of people with a very pale and pink and blue flag seem to believe they're about to get wiped out.
Oh yeah, don't mention that word. Don't mention. I've got my Twitter.
But, I mean, if you went on the feminist front's WordPress, they were basically plotting the extermination of men. I mean, the elimination of men from all aspects of control of Doctor Who. I mean, it was crazy. Unfortunately, they were also powerful, at least for a while.
Yeah.
Well,
Series 12 is their ideas. I knew that they were going to destroy Gallifrey because they were making it very clear Gallifrey had to be destroyed. I knew they were going to trash the regeneration cycle. I mean, I thought they were going to put a female 12 cycle before the male 12 cycle. That's what I thought they were going to do. I didn't know they were going to completely screw the canon. I mean, even that was like, oh my God, they went that far. But I mean, series 12 is where all this plotting came to fruition, because this is where those bad ideas got to play out on the show. Now, they haven't drawn in Golden Age Geek yet, so I'm sorry about that. Golden Age Geek, give me your take on all this. I mean, how much would you say series 12 was bad ideas making it into the show? What's your view of it? Because me and Burrunjor have got a bit of a different view, because we're looking at it, well, I hate to say the word, but as a kind of Doctor Who conspiracy, which it was in a way. But what do you feel about series 12?
Well, when the Jodie Whittaker era came along, I didn't really have my eyes open to all of this. When I watched Jodie's first season, I didn't really like it, and then I started watching the first few episodes of series 12. I kind of had the mentality of, oh, what's wrong with me? Why aren't I liking this? And then I started going on the internet and finding people's reviews and what they thought. And I found out that the thoughts that I had seemed to, resonate with a lot of other people, and people seemed to think the same thing. I wasn't alone. This was kind of common belief that all the stuff that we were seeing and the messaging was very apparent, and people didn't really want it. So this was kind of my first sort of introduction to the idea of, everything that's going on nowadays. Back when something like Missy was introduced into the show, I didn't really think about it from the perspective of, what are they going to do next? It's going to escalate into something else. But yeah, I can completely understand how the seeds were planted there for what we have nowadays.
It was definitely, plot, water. Yeah, it absolutely was. It absolutely was. I mean, a lot of these things are easy to see after the fact. And, as fans, we're not really used to the idea of production, well, one of a better way of putting it, conspiring against us.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea that Moffat lies, RTD lies, I mean, yeah, we're quite familiar with the idea that showrunners lie a lot, but we understand they're doing it to protect the show. They're doing it to protect the surprise.
Yep.
Because if they just answer every question fans throw at them, there'll be no surprise for anybody. There'd be no point watching.
True.
So they have to misdirect and lie, and to an extent, even if it's pretending not to know things they know very well.
Yep.
But we've never really thought of a show deliberately setting out to go, right, we're going to transform the fan base.
Yeah. And
this is,
yeah.
And the idea, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's very strong evidence that behind the scenes, the thinking was that this brand new rainbow culture that was obsessing the young, was how they were going to secure the future of Doctor Who, and all these stale pale males, they're no longer the future. So stop listening to them, stop pandering to them, start making programs that show the obsessions of the young, the obsession of this wokeness, bring this wokeness in. And, I suppose there were some people at the BBC that were betting that it was going to be a massive success. But of course, we know what these activists are like. Mostly, they don't care what they trample on and destroy, as long as they make the point they want.
Exactly.
Season 12 was that point.
Yeah. Big time.
I mean, it could have worked. If they could have, I'll expand on that. If they could have produced something that could have held its audience and at least had an audience as high at the start, at the end as at the start, because that's what New Who series have typically done. They start high, they dip, they end high.
Yep.
So you usually get an episode 6, 7, 8 dip. Even in the Tennant years, maybe up to 2 million in some weeks, But people know that the end of the series is going to be a big one. They want to see the finale, so they come back in for it. That was the pattern. But season 11 started high, finished low. Series 12 picked up from that low, went lower. But because they weren't able to translate their ideas into televisual success, they failed. If they'd have had viewing figures, they would have succeeded. If the audience had been there to stick with their transformed version of the show, they would have been vindicated. So it was really all about the ratings, and I don't think they ever really properly understood that, because they've got contempt for people who watch television for the most part. Yeah. But this is the mindset I've put myself into. What if I was them? What if I had those objectives? What if I wanted Doctor Who to make some sort of bold social statement? And I took the ideas they created, Gallifrey being destroyed, the fugitive Doctor, and the timeless child, and I put them in some other way that could perhaps have made a story which would be about their social themes, but would also have been valid and watchable and enjoyable by the whole of Doctor Who fandom. That's what I've tried to put my head to with my thoughts. So I haven't sort of gone, right, I'm going to scrap this fugitive Doctor, just scrap it. I haven't done that because that's not fair. I want to try, this is just my approach. You guys could do whatever you like. But, this is the way I've looked at it. I thought that's not fair. I want to see, could these ideas have been made good? That's my little challenge I've set to myself. So what I suggest we do is we discuss the elements of Series 12, not the whole episode. God, no.
No. Please not.
God, no.
Please not. No. But
no. Just the key parts that set up the series arc and why they didn't work. And from there, we'll then put in our positive ideas of this is what we'd have done instead. Okay, how's that sound? Everyone with it?
Yeah. Whatever. Crack on.
Is Chat with it? How's Chat doing? Is Chat with us on this one?
Well, at the moment, we've just got Time Prophet doing what Time Prophet does best.
Yeah.
Sanico's just popped in. Colin's here. I think they're all just waiting to hear what we have to say, I think.
Yeah, what is that nutter John White doing now? How's he going to make that work? We've not. I don't think we've brought the audience with us tonight, Gobby.
No, I think it's
not
because
quite the same as some other streams.
No, I think it's because of the subject matter. Because a lot of people have some real bad feelings.
Well, this is what we get when we go for an experiment, isn't it? So
yes.
Let's prove the faint hearts wrong and come up with an awesome discussion. Okay, so let's start off. Spyfall.
Yeah.
So. You've got two parts to Spyfall. The first part, the spies are getting taken from all around the world. Doctor gets drawn in, and then meets this character O. And O's got these. O then turns out to be the Master.
Of course.
Right. And in the second part of the episode, the Doctor is directly competing with the Master. And we're introduced to these aliens, which we did see in the first part, but they're like antimatter aliens.
Yeah.
And they're given the name the Kasavin.
Yep.
And they're used in this episode, and we never hear from them again.
Yeah, they disappear.
So let's put the Kasavin in our pockets, because I think the Kasavin is something that Paul could have done.
Wasn't Kasabi the name of someone in Blake 7? That woman that Servalan knew or something that she was gonna. I'm just saying, it's like,
almost
that's all I know about them.
It's a good sci-fi name, isn't it? But nevertheless, there we are. So we've got those in our pocket. Then we've got the Master telling the Doctor that Gallifrey is trashed.
Yeah.
And the Doctor going, nah, really? And then she goes and have a look. Oh no, it is. Oh dear. And then a video plays, the Master going, told you I trashed it because I found out something so terrible I had to trash it.
Right, yeah.
The timeless child. And that's for Stephen. I've got now. I gotta tell you, fellas. I was so not on board with that.
No, I don't think many people were.
It was
Put it
ridiculous to kill Gallifrey off again after
Again,
all
yeah.
that big fuss in the 50th, all that stuff to rescue it, and then it's just, you know, and also how did one guy bring it down when whole like Dalek Empire for thousands of years to take it down before? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Well, I mean, firstly, we've got the O reveal. O is the master. Now, up until that point, with the letter O and antimatter entities, I had entertained this little thought in my head. Could it be Omega? Anybody else get that? Am I the only one?
No. I
I'll
always
be honest,
thought Omega was. I always thought Omega was going to be the one behind the TARDIS blowing up. I thought that was going to be him, but no, sadly it didn't. You know.
All right, so let's put Omega in our back pocket too. As you know, we could see that this is a way we could put Omega could have been brought into this. So we'll put Omega in our back pocket too. Right. And Kasavin and antimatter creatures. And I'd also point out, gosh, at the end of time, wasn't Rassilon's master plan to survive the Time Lord or to ascend to become creatures of pure energy alone?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Wouldn't that look a lot like a Kasavin?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Right, put that in our back pocket too. Are the Kasavin actually Time Lords? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so that's three elements we got from that. But look, oh God, no. It wasn't just, oh, we've destroyed Gallifrey again. That's bad. Right? I mean, obviously that was bad. Destroying Gallifrey off screen. Are you trying to insult us?
Yeah.
You know, but you want to do that, but you didn't think it was worth making a story out of.
Well, yeah, exactly.
And then there's the chronic insult to the Doctor's character. To suggest the Doctor is such a hopeless, useless div that their entire planet can be destroyed and they haven't got a freaking clue it's gone down. The Doctor!
Well, yeah.
Of all people. I mean, I was let alone the idea that the Master on his own could destroy Gallifrey. Could the Master on his own destroy Gallifrey in such a way that the Doctor wasn't involved?
No.
Yeah.
No.
It was so totally unearned. It was so totally an insult. But what it meant was, we're taking away your toys before you even get a chance to miss them.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, ha, look at that unit gone. Oh, look, Gallifrey gone. Weep man, boys.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. That's why this felt so ugly, because it came from such an ugly place, because the only reason to do it were ugly reasons.
Yes.
You know, but there we are. Okay. So moving on from Spyfall, the next time we get major plot points is Prisoner of the Jejune, or Fugitive of the Jejune. Don't mix it up with Prisoner of the Jejune. You'll get a far better Sarah Jane's Adventures story episode.
Yeah.
Which, you know, you could confusingly give it a superior review. But to reiterate the plot line of Prisoner of the Fugitive of the Jejune.
Producer, yep.
And a woman called Ruth. She's a tour guide at Gloucester Cathedral. She's got a boyfriend. Everything seems like normal, but turns out things aren't not so normal. And really, the Jejune are after her. Not really sure why. Why would Jejune after you? Don't know. Her boyfriend dies trying to protect her. She runs away. He tells her to go to his lighthouse. She goes to his lighthouse, and then all of a sudden her memories open up and she remembers that she's the Doctor, and then she finds her buried TARDIS, but she doesn't remember ever being the current Doctor, and the current Doctor doesn't ever remember being her, so it's all very brain fuggy. Then she rips the horn off a rhino and disappears. The end.
Yeah, that's it.
Right, okay, so just summarise that as quickly as possible,
yeah.
really. The idea of a completely secret regeneration of the Doctor that doesn't fit in any time scale that we've ever been given before, apart from she must have been before the first.
Yeah.
So that indicates the whole cycles of regenerations we know nothing about.
Yeah.
Was this ever a good idea?
No, absolutely
No.
not. It's a terrible idea. Why mess? I mean, it brings in so many plot holes. It doesn't. It also is in danger of taking away the Doctor's agency, because obviously the only reason he won't remember it is because he's been brainwashed. So that leaves the question of, okay, is he only the way he is because they brainwashed him? I.e., you know, it's like Total Recall. Did they create that new personality for him? I mean, it's such a bad idea, and also it's alienating as well to fans and casual viewers alike, because it's so obsessed with like the mythology. You're going to have to go into all these obscure references like the Seal of Rassilon in order to explain it. Just steer clear of all that. Move forward.
You see, Fugitive of Jadoon is seen as one of the most successful episodes of the Chibnall era.
Oh God!
And I think but it is. It certainly wasn't. It certainly wasn't a rating success. It managed to light the ratings up only another 200k on the week before.
It was just over 200,000.
And that bump disappeared immediately afterwards.
It vanished.
And you know, it wasn't the Roof Doctor that did that, because she was secret. That was purely Captain Jack's coming back.
Yeah,
caused a bump for the episode. But immediately after the Roof Doctor reveal, even more people turned off next week.
Oh God, yeah.
You know, so I mean, to call it a success, but what it did, you see, is it did generate the most conversation, probably, out of all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say the Roof reveal generated more conversation with the Timeless Children because more people watched it. You know, I mean, and bless them, a lot of Doctor Who fans, they were still trying to go along with it, and we tried to stay on board with it, and it wasn't until the Timeless Children we really realised how fucking terrible it really was.
Yeah.
You know? Like Time Prophet says, I have to remember to say that the first female Doctor crashed the TARDIS as soon as she got it. There's probably some kind of newspaper cartoon about this, but if we had it to hand, we could put it up right now and have a proper little chortle. But you know,
the one Eric Saward wrote.
Very well. I did that for you, Time Prophet.
There you go.
Because you were nice to me earlier. You see,
well, she did.
Squidgy Scratty.
Let's be honest, she didn't really crash it. It spat her out.
John well rejected her as a toxic.
I mean, it literally lobbed her out the first chance it got.
We can discuss that a bit more too. Burrunjor, you were about to say something, mate.
Oh no, sorry, I just got messed up. You were talking about a comic strip, but were you saying that's a comic strip about Jodie, or was it one that had a thing about the Doctor being brainwashed? Because I know that Eric Saward did a pretty crappy origin comic for the Doctor for its 20th anniversary that was similar to the Timeless Children. It was, I think it was something to do with the Doctor. Sorry, he brainwashed. Thankfully, they never did it in the show, but like you know, it shows you, like sometimes in the Cartmel Master Plan, it shows you that there was always like common sense prevailing.
Well, it is amazing, actually, how many bad ideas from the 1980s Chibnall seemed to hoover up. You know, because he wasn't an original man. And you're right. I mean, there's so much of the stuff, even back in the Five Doctors days, you know, there were ideas to do some crazy stuff with the show back then, you know, but just JNT was a bit too wise to go for it.
So that just brought up its Birth of a Renegade, that Saward story. I remember.
Yes, it is. Yeah. I remember. It's in the Radio Times special, isn't it? And he's got the thing with Susan in it as well. I remember it's about the very beginning. That's a long time since I read it. Okay. So, I mean, generally, we review Hidden Doctors of bad ideas. I mean, was it a bad idea when they did it with John Hurt?
Sort of. I think John Hurt was obviously a much better actor, and it didn't completely screw up the whole thing. But in hindsight, I think it would have been better. They should have just gone for Paul McGann. Like, that would have just been, I mean, there's actually no reason other than just, like, you know, stunt casting. And plus, John Hurt could have played, like, they could have played any role. I mean, they could have had him be the general even, you know. It's like they didn't need to.
Yeah, all Rastalon, all the master. He could have done all of it.
Oh,
yeah, absolutely. I'd firmly agree with you. The War Doctor should have been the Eighth Doctor. It would have been much better.
Absolutely.
But then Christopher Eccleston shouldn't have been such a hard ass either, should he? So,
well,
in a perfect world. And Tom Baker should take part in the Five Doctors. So there. And Billy Hartnell should have held off developing arterial vasculosis, so he could probably take part in the Three Doctors. You know, I mean, we could go back a long way with how stupid it should have been, but I mean, I think it was a chancy idea when Moffat tried it. He just about got away with it. But
Just,
I mean, he only got away with it because he knew that in the next episode he was going to ignore the 12 lives per generation rule anyway, because he had to, as the show would have had to stop.
Well, yes, exactly.
Because, you know, it's a problem for you up. You throw these lines into something in the 1970s, and then decades later it's going, shit, the whole series is in peril now because someone said, no, you regenerate 12 times. Idiots!
Yes, what'd you do that for? You
seems like a good idea when they're only on number 4. Like, we got loads of time.
Loads of time. It'll never be a problem. Yeah, we'll be all right. What do you mean you're leaving?
Oh dear. So, hidden regeneration cycles, but I mean, as far as it goes, I quite like the series 6.5 theory. I could go for that. I always felt there was scope for the Doctor to be doing some secret missions between the War Games and Spearhead from Space, and the two Doctors pretty much suggest that's exactly what did go on. Because it's impossible to fit that story chronologically unless it is after the War Games. Yeah, and the Doctor's clearly going around doing the business of the High Council. So I mean, I always thought that had some merit. If you really wanted to squeeze a secret regeneration in there, I mean, I suppose you could, you know, but it is a stretch. It's a stretch to do what? It's a stretch for why. But on the other hand, there's also the question of Jo Martin and how well she played the part. Now, I happen to think she did a pretty fantastic job.
She was the best.
I don't think she did. I'm sorry, but I don't think any woman could.
You go ahead and say it.
Yeah,
I don't think any woman could, because I mean, obviously it's not because I don't think women can play heroes. And just to be clear about it, I'm actually like more left wing, I'd say, overall. I mean, I don't know, maybe you guys like wouldn't call yourselves right wing, but maybe I don't know what alignment would you say? I
think it's an artificial load of bollocks that can't strip what we impose on society, and it restricts us in more ways than it helps us more often than not. So how's that? You know, so you're a human being with your human world.
But for practicality's sake, let's just say I lean closer to that. But I don't think a woman could work, because I've always said, I mean, this later when we go into my bit, a problem I've had from the start, that I don't think you can change the Doctor too much. I think there is, if you will, a template to the Doctor's character that it's kind of, you have to get a balance right. Get someone who'll make it their own in some ways, but not change it so much that you could never imagine it was well under there. And I'm sorry for me, but like a woman, that's too big a physical change that I just can't take it seriously. And it feels like what, you know, it's too divorced from William Hartnell and begins to break up. And I think that's what like set the precedent for the Timeless Children as an idea. Because like, okay, well, if you know it doesn't matter this, then we can take away other parts. You know, we can, like, William Hartnell doesn't.
Oh yeah, we broke that. Now let's break the rest. Yeah, now we've broken this, we could break all the rest of it. And I want everyone to bear in mind at this point in time, you know, when fandom started to go, ouch, what about canon? These people were saying, no, canon doesn't even exist in Doctor Who.
God.
No, really?
Well, they were. But they were. And I go, okay, But you know what? I didn't take that badly. I went, that's great. That's brilliant. Because you've just invalidated all this shit you're trying to impose. It ain't canon unless we say so. So it ain't canon. Bad luck, girls. Try again next time. And then, you know, when they tried that, of course, they were out on their ear soon afterwards. You know, but if you're going to have no canon, that door swings both ways.
Yes, it does indeed. It does indeed.
You know, and therefore it becomes down to the will of fandom. Now, look, I always felt that a woman could play Doctor Who. Right? I mean, I remember being the 80s. I remember even when Tom Baker left the role. Okay, maybe it was a bit more of a joke then, but certainly when Peter Davison left the role, the speculation a woman could take the part was a bit more serious. And I think it could have been done. It could have happened.
Sorry, I just was a bit clear when I said that a woman couldn't play it. It's not that I don't think a woman could play a similar character. It's just that one in specific, from the continuity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, look, we did have Time Lords and Time Ladies.
We did.
They were split into distinct genders, and there was no hint in Classic that the genders could swap roles.
No.
So we know that this is all modern ideas being filtered through the show. You know, and we know that the human race is having a bit of a funny time across the Western world on this whole question at the moment.
Just a bit, just a little bit.
And it's hard to keep, but it's going to show up in culture, you know. But I mean, Doctor Who was a show that was uniquely placed to be a target to show that because of the character's nature, that it could change his whole form. But I mean, it's more a question, not that I felt it couldn't be done. It's all a question of why should it be done.
Well,
I've never heard of it.
The why do it bit was always distinctly lacking. You know, but I've never been against the concept that it could happen. I've always felt that a woman could play a really engaging, brilliant version of the Doctor. In fact, I really think Michelle Gomez could have done it.
No, but you're right. Actually,
what if you had Capaldi as the Master and Gomez as the Doctor in Series 8?
Gomez would have been a better Doctor.
At least you know the talent was right for it.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, she was good, so you know, possible.
Chibnall's second best mate was a different question. You know, I mean, we won't even have a discussion, but it's not worth a discussion with Jodie Whittaker in this cast. But
yeah, it'd be a short one.
we were looking at this notion of a fugitive Doctor anyway, and this idea of a secret Doctor. And of course, you know, I mean, we're getting so much trouble for criticising this, right? But, no, but I have done in the past.
Well, we all get flack. We all get flack.
I mean, the tokenism in Chibnall's era is so painful, and the more time passes, the more awful it's going to look. It really is. Yeah. But I failed to see what was so great about effectively characterizing the first female black Doctor to look like somebody who stepped out from behind running a jerk chicken stall.
Fair enough.
You know, talk about cultural appropriation. I would just slap all this over her, and then it will just signal the connection to these things. But really, there's no connection to whatsoever because she's not from Africa or from West India. She's a freaking alien from Gallifrey.
Yes, well, yeah.
And what does that say about Gallifrey? Nothing. You know, so the way that they went about trying to seize cultural capital for this version, it's the worst of wokeism. It's the worst white savior complex stuff. You know, and then of course look what happened to the character. I mean, you could hardly say she was well treated, but that's a different discussion because of course I do think that Joe Martin acted Jodie Whittaker to the very edge of the screen. Yeah, and it's funny that every time the character was written into an episode after that, It was always a ghost or a spirit or a message or a memory, or in some ways not actually in the same room.
Yeah, because I think
Very interesting that.
Well, it is because let's be honest.
Talk about a way to restrict a character's agency, never actually allow them to be there.
I think it's because, well, let's be honest. She did outact Jodie straight off the
Not
screen.
hard.
Anyone could outact
yeah, well,
Jodie.
I was about to say it ain't hard. I could probably outact Jodie on the screen, to be brutally
Toilet
honest.
roll could outact Jodie.
Yeah, well, there is that. Oh no, the toilet roll was Yaz. That was what she was there for.
Yeah, toilet roll was tied for Yaz. Yeah, good
Yeah,
point.
yeah. I mean, there's so much love, so much fun for that show.
Yaz is the most amazing
We're struggling, boys.
who
We're
ever
struggling.
lived.
Yes, best. I mean, Adric must be loving it because he's now no longer the worst assistant there's ever been. So
Look,
there are
even Dodo Chapel's been reappraised favourably in recent years.
you know. So there are some good points. There are some good points. Oh dear me.
Katerina looking like a much stronger entry to be.
Oh, tell you what.
She had one memorable scene. Yaz has none. So yeah, Katerina is there.
Exactly. Yaz has none.
No, not one thing. You won't remember her. She'll just disappear into the ether. Oh dear.
Goldeneagedgeek, I'm leaving you suspiciously alone. Look, this whole question was having a secret reincarnation of the Doctor a bad idea? I mean, yes, it was, but come on, tell me about it.
Well, I'm not sure that rewriting the whole history of the character of the Doctor was the best idea, but I do agree with you on one point that a female Doctor could have worked if you had good writers and you had talented actress who was invested in the franchise and knew how to play the part.
Would the Chibnall era have been better if he cast Joe Martin from day one?
Probably
no.
not. He'd have got involved in all kinds of racial identity politics as much. Like, imagine what he'd have done with the one in India. He would have gone, or the Rosa Parks one. How more like, there would have been even less sci-fi and even more identity politics crap. So I mean, that's the thing. Ironically, guys like him cannot write female heroes and they cannot write black heroes because they can't see past. Like they'd never write a black character like Lister from Red Dwarf, who's a fully rounded character who's black. Like they just see them as trophies for their own egos. It's like, oh look, I've got a black character. I've got.
Sadly, it's so true. Sadly, it's so true, and it's going to be so much worse with trans characters.
Oh, it's going to be. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh dear.
When you think about the episode Rosa, and it goes into that point again that these liberals who want to create like the white savior complex in the show, when you think about Rosa as an episode, it is kind of racist because you have Rosa Parks who isn't willing to do what she did in history, but then you have Jodie Whittaker's Doctor who's a white Karen turning up and telling her what to do, and that's what causes the whole thing to happen.
Well, a good friend of his channel is Fidget, who did her excellent deconstruction from the Indian subcontinent of both Rosa and Demons of the Punjab, and she exposed all the implicit hidden racist and colonialist presumptions being made by the woke script, and she really tore it to hell.
Tore it to pieces.
Yeah, absolutely tore it to hell. So if you've never checked out Fidget's deconstruction of Rosa and Demons of the Punjab, they are essential. I'll
find them and link them in the description afterwards, so people can go there if they want to see those particular videos because they are worth watching it. Because does she tear it a new one?
I mean, you basically her take on Rosa is that the culmination of Rosa of the plot is that you've got two privileged white middle class people, sitting on a bus, being helped by two young people of BAME descent who are doing everything they tell them to do, following their orders, and they're conspiring to manipulate a situation so that a black woman is abused because that's the only way black people have any rights in the future.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, but way to make America the bloody centre of the world.
Is it any wonder that Doctor Who viewing figures sharply nosedived after Rosa and never recovered? Because to an American,
the American
seemed very offensive.
It was ignorant when they. Sorry, Karen.
No, I'll just say that's where you can see the massive decline in the US audience. Once Rose had hit it, it was gone. It was over.
They rejected the show.
They
just chucked it in the bin.
And it never recovered. And in the end, I mean, they don't even talk about it much anymore. It's not even a show.
Doctor Who doesn't exist in the States.
No. And that was because of that episode. Because if you look at the viewing figures in America, after Rosa, they dropped and they never came back.
Entirely a wrong time to put for a British show.
Yeah,
to put a script like that in the face of the United States. It destroyed a lot of goodwill. It really did. It was really destructive.
It was very destructive.
I still don't feel I've really got Goldeneagedgeek's take on whether the Fugitive Doctor was an idea that could have worked. I'm still after it. Have you got more to say about that?
I don't think it could have worked, and I don't really like the idea that every single time we see a gap in the show's history that like a big story took place. I like a nice mainstream timeline. I like to be able to and I know Doctor Who's always been wibbly wobbly timey wimey, but I like to have an understanding of what I'm watching. I don't want to think, so I'm going to watch this series and this series, but between this series and this series, there was like 13,000 regenerations. I just don't like any of that.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
It's horrific. It's horrific dilution of the character. Absolutely.
It's terrible.
I mean, we'll come to that.
I agree with that. I don't like stupid a retcon can sometimes work. Like when Alan Moore, he talked about the Killing Joke, and he says exactly about it when looking at the Joker's origins, that he's not going to go against it.
Can work.
He's going to put a spin on it, whereas Paul Cornell comes out with the attitude of all change, is the same. Like apparently there's no difference between, say, William Hartnell turning into Patrick Troughton and Jodie, because they're both changes, which is ridiculous. And if you have that mindset,
it was a retcon when Patrick Troughton was first revealed to be a Time Lord. That was a retcon.
Well, I don't think that's a retcon, to be honest.
Well, not so much, but I mean, it did.
Genesis
story. I mean, there were some of the 60s episodes, especially series 1 and 2, were kind of hinting that the Doctor and Susan were from the far future of Earth rather than aliens. So you could
to be fair, he had a 500-year diary.
But he didn't have that. He did have it, didn't he? Yeah, he did have a 500-year diary at that point.
Power of the Daleks.
So yeah, I mean, I think they were building up to the reveal that he was an alien and making it very clear he was an alien, but it was never explicit until the War Games. So in a sense, it was a retcon.
Well, see, I think that there's a bit of a difference. This is something I feel very strongly about. That a retcon is where you actually go back, you look at a story, and then you look.
Oh, I agree. It's not. It's a subtle.
Whereas the War Games, the War Games is where you fill in a gap. It's like, say, the War Games is like when Batman was introduced, we didn't know that he fought crime because his parents were murdered, but then they told us that it was, and that was filling a gap in.
So that's what the War Games is. The proper conclusion to the original.
Exactly.
Yeah. I agree. It's exactly what it is. But I love that damn story. Oh dear. Okay, so the other aspect that was brought in Fugitive to June was Captain Jack, and his warning to look out for the unfinished Cyberman. No, that's not it. What was his name? The lone Cyberman. The lone Cyberman.
Yeah.
If you spot one on his own, that's the one to watch out for. That's terrible advice. What counts as lone? More than 10 meters away from another one? I mean, how do you define these things? Over the horizon, behind a wall? I mean, what counts as a lone Cyberman? But watch out for that one.
Yeah, that particular one there. That one, the lone one.
You should have said the one that's still got a face. It would have been a bit easier.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're going to
They
describe
know which one is best.
enemy, I mean, just go look out for the silver thing. Yeah,
and of course, that entire Captain Jack thing wasn't. Hi, everybody. I'm here for some extremely contrived reshoots, which is why I can't interact with the main plot or actually feature in the scene with the Doctor at all.
Yes.
I mean, it was so bad.
It was
Exposition
shameless fan service.
Oh God, Chibnall, you freaking clown!
Oh God, clowns! You're being generous with the word clown.
But the elements of the Siberium and the lone Cybermen and a threat coming from the cyber race.
Yes.
I suppose we should put those in our pocket.
Yeah, this pocket's filling up quite nicely.
It is. Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, but then the next episode of any relevance is Villa Diodati, which is all into this Siberian aspect.
Yes, yeah, it is. Yeah.
So I mean, I'd have to say the Siberium and the cyber bomb part, but they've got to be part of any conclusion because they are really key elements of how the series is built up. So we need to take account of those.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Well, yeah. We got to. Yeah.
Like it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's on the table in our pocket.
And then we've got Ascension of the Cybermen, which is basically a big run around ripping off the best ideas from the end of Series 2 of the Orville.
Absolutely.
But it ends then with our favourite comedy clown, sorry, I'm in the master, stepping through a portal and going, oh, look, that's Gallifrey behind me, cliffhanger. So we've got portals opening up to Gallifrey. Put those in our pocket.
That's that in the pocket.
Yeah, and then we've got Timeless Children itself.
Oh, dear.
Oh, God.
Oh, dear Lord. Oh, no. Nothing paid again. Oh.
I tried to do my due diligence and, to do right by the viewers of this stream and to rewatch The Timeless Children. I tried.
Oh, God.
I managed.
No.
I managed just to check out, just to remind myself of a few key scenes. Just sitting there for it is not something I could do. I'm a dying man. I don't have time for that crap. I really don't.
No.
Well, I suppose the big element here is the reveal of the Timeless Child itself, the reveal that the Timeless Child is behind the Time Lord's ability to regenerate, the reveal of the Tectoon and the unethical experiments.
Yes.
What a lot of fans hate this episode for, as it seems to vindicate child abuse,
which it does, for all intents and purposes.
And then just generally the whole way the thing resolves, and the Doctor chickens out, and that bloke blows it all up for her, all of that stuff.
That really brave Doctor.
But we need to bring in this idea of the Timeless Child, which is this child that came through some kind of portal from some kind of other dimension, and that had properties that then led to the creation of the Gallifrey, but the Doctor knows.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a difficult one, isn't it? How to make use of all that. But we need to try to think. Well, I mean, what you guys do is up to you, but because I want to try to make this work within the ideas that were sort of set up, I've had to think about how I could try to actually use those elements. I do have some thoughts. So, but I mean, basically, that's what Series 12 was, and that's the bits of it that we've got. So, who wants to be brave enough and start suggesting a fix for any part of it?
Oh, God.
Mine isn't really a fix for it. It's just a wiping the slate clean. So I guess I'll go after.
No. Just say something. Let's kick off. And we'll have a bit of a round robin of ideas until we dry up, and then we'll just keep going. So whoever's still got ideas left can then splurge them. So give us an idea.
Well, I mean, to be honest, as I said, I've like a lot of my problems go back, like I said, with New Who in general. And I don't, just to be clear, I don't hate all of New Who. I think the first 7 seasons of it hold up like reasonably well. I mean, there's better seasons and good seasons, you know, like any other show. But to me, I don't think it was ever really a faithful sequel. So I mean, I suggested this way back in the Peter Capaldi era. Everyone will think that I'm just, you know, jumping on the latest fad in Hollywood. But I said it would have been good if in Peter Capaldi's time they'd done a story where the Doctor meets a counterpart from another universe who could have been played by Richard E. Grant. And
so
could have been the Shalka Doctor. But you could have shown the Shalka Doctor's universe was more like Classic Who's universe. Like, you know, and you could have split New Who and Classic Who into 2 different universes and done that. Like, say, the Daleks. Sorry.
Okay.
Let's get this, I mean, straight away, what we're talking about here is, but one way in which we can try to make sense of all these elements is to have multiple universes.
Yep.
You know, where one is more like the Doctor Who we know, and another is a lot less like the Doctor Who we know, and perhaps where all the canon busting shit is going on is because it's not a canon we knew anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that kind of alternate universe thing. And I had similar. I may use similar devices myself. I'll be quite honest, but yeah, the idea that Doctor could meet not a past version of themselves, but a parallel version of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's
exactly
that's what you're driving at, isn't it?
Wasn't that an idea that some people had is why the TARDIS spat Jodie out? The TARDIS recognised the Doctor that was coming was from an alternate reality.
Yeah, skipped a universe. Yeah, skipped universe out because she was incompatible.
What did the console say? It said something about, I can't remember. The console flashed up a message as if to say, you don't belong here, get out, kind of thing. And that would, because it would, because the obviously each TARDIS in each realm would be sort of programmed to that realm's Doctor. And if another Doctor pops in from another realm, it'd be like, whoa, what's going on here? Because I know that was one thing.
You can certainly see how you could make something out of it.
You could, I mean, that would explain a lot.
You could definitely make something out of it.
Yeah.
So
Oh, sorry, Karen.
Yeah, no, go ahead. We were poised there.
Yes.
Poised. Okay,
ready to receive.
That's okay. All I was just going to say was that now I'm not sure that would work because timeless children. I can agree with a lot of. I'm not just saying this to try and win favour as the new guy, but I agree with a lot of the commentators here that I don't think it can really be fixed. I think ideally what needs to happen for me is Doctor Who, rather than try and continue it on, they should just finish it, really, and then give it a few years and bring it back with a new alternate sequel, which you wouldn't reference the original one right away. You'd just have the Doctor and then have him mention, I'm on my 9th life, and that would be that.
Yeah.
Cut out. But then you could have, say, a crossover, like you could have, as I said, a No Way Home thing with this Doctor.
I just want to assure you once again, guy, but on this stream we celebrate diversity.
Yep,
real diversity.
Yes,
of thought and opinion. You know, so I don't invite a panel for everyone to sing off the same song sheet. It's a bit embarrassing when that happens. Really, do we really all think the same? No. You know, so absolutely, you are completely allowed to agree with the chat. Yeah. I mean, me, Gobby, know that we're dragging chat somewhere we don't really want to go on this one. So
yeah, they're not.
This is totally an experimental stream. We're just trying something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's the only way forward, really, because I think it's just too badly damaged, and I don't think, also, I think that. It needs the Doctor as a character needs to get some kind of key characterization back, because right now it's ridiculous. The Doctor, I mean, they've literally made it can be anyone and anything. Like in spin-off material, they made it can turn into animals. It's like, who's going to be interested in a character like that? There needs to be some kind of thing that people can get
I know,
You know-
it's been so ridiculous. We get appeasing the bloody Furbies during lockdown. I mean, God blimey.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It was just sad. That was just sad. Now, look, I want to get an idea out of Golden Age Geek.
Yes.
So, give us an idea.
Is he there?
So,
There he is. Hello, mate.
so what exactly? Do you want me to comment on?
Well, any aspect we've talked about so far, all the things we've put in our back pocket, all the elements of Series 12. Have you got an idea about any of it? Or just an idea of what you reckon might have been better to do?
Well, I mean, if you take the most of the information that they revealed to us in the Timeless Children, I mean, do you think it could have worked if this child that was taken and had all the experiments, do you think it could have worked if that child was just not the Doctor? So the only thing that they took away was the big piece of the puzzle, which was this child was the Doctor. If it was just a random child that this happened to, and then therefore the Doctor feels sort of guilty because
I think this is massive. I absolutely agree with you. There is no way the Timeless Child should have been a Doctor. It was the wrong choice on every level.
Yeah, and that's what I've always thought. I thought
you can have a being like the Timeless Child who's got all these powers, by all means.
Yeah.
Have a being like that. But don't make it the freaking Doctor.
Yeah.
Can I just interject for a second? Was it actually ever said that it was the Doctor?
Yeah.
Yes. I said it's you. And then we met.
I'm sorry, Gobby, but we can't get out of it that way.
Oh no, I know. I'm just trying to find a quick, easy fix. No, it's not the Doctor. Sorted.
They met the Doctor, so they met.
They laid their trap carefully in the bones of the brain of Morbius. They saw us coming.
yes, indeed.
I mean, I've seen on many forums that most people think one of the ways that they could, resolve and retcon this whole the Timeless Children and nonsense is that the Master could be lying, but that isn't really credible because in Flux,
it's not possible.
Met the Doctor and then literally referred to her as the Timeless Child. So even she is doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's absolutely true.
Absolutely true. So there is no way of going back and saying he's lying, and it doesn't make sense. The more if you sit and watch it, well, I won't watch it again. I've already got PTSD. I don't need any more. If you go through it and analyze it, literally none of it makes any sense, and it doesn't matter how many times you try and spin it around in your head, you just can't seem to come to a conclusion that makes any sense. Why would the Master lie? The Master would be, if the Master is the Timeless Child, surely the Master would be chuffed about that because it makes him an immortal being. It just none of it sits well. Not with me, in any case.
Time Prophet's letting us know that it is tea time. The later start tonight, of course.
Yes. He's got to go have his tea.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thanks, Time Prophet.
All right, well, look, have either of you guys got a plan for fixing the season?
No.
No.
Burrunjor.
Golden Geek, have you?
Have you got any?
Well, it's a weird one because even if I do have an idea, it's not going to happen in any way because I don't think Russell is going to.
Of course, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, but it'd be nice to just throw it out there. Maybe he's listening.
The point isn't that we're thinking things are going to change. I mean, what is right? No one's going to make a new version of the Timeless Children just because we make a stream. So that's given. It's not going to change anything, no. But the idea here is to show that we have the ability to come up with ideas that would at least showed up the plans who were writing the damn series at the time, basically. Because we love Doctor Who so much that we would have made more effort into trying to make it a better damn story.
Well, one thing you could have maybe tried, I suggest this at one point, that the Timeless Child isn't the Doctor, but what it is it's the Time Lords from another universe. They were kind of nearing the end of their time, like their universe was crumbling, and they tried to hold it together, but the universe was basically dead, and they didn't have enough power to travel to another one. So what they did was they downloaded all their history into the mind of this child, and they had enough power to send it through, and its job was to find like a group of primitive humans.
In End of Time, the fate of Gallifrey escaping of the Time War depended on one diamond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why couldn't the fate of Gallifrey's future and its survival in all universes be tied to one child?
Well, yeah, but it would just be that the child his job would be to like sort of use all the knowledge to rebuild the Time Lords in another universe. But like when they captured it, like it had knowledge of the Doctor as well, and it ended up getting confused and thinking it was the Doctor. It would be the Doctor from that other universe it would think it was, and that's what Joe Martin would be. It wouldn't be the actual Doctor, or even a counterpart.
I tell you what, why don't I run through my plan to fix Series 12?
Crack on.
We'll have a
Yeah, go
discussion
ahead.
about that.
Go ahead.
You guys can let me know if I've come up with something brilliant or something sucky, and you could be as realistic in your feedback as you like. Because I am a trained writer, I like real feedback. You know, not the that was great, John. That tells you nothing.
Yeah.
You know, that's not feedback. So trust me, I can take it. But you know, I mean, I have thought about this. I've thought about what could I do with the different elements. So let's start off with Spyfall. I've already mentioned, you know, I just think the Kasarin are just too good to waste. You know, and they fit so well with the idea of ascending to beings of pure energy alone. I'm going to have the Kasarin, a few Time Lords close to Rassilon, who tried to carry out his plan during the end of time, who tried to escape being sucked back into the Time War, and a few of them did ascend to become beings of pure energy. But what happened to them is that they then got sucked down into the dimension of Omega, because he is a Time Lord of pure energy, and his will is so much stronger than theirs that they became enslaved by Omega, and they are the Kasarin. So there's the first thing. So I'm tying Spyfall much better into established lore.
Right.
Then, yeah, I like the Master finding out about the Timeless Child. I think the dynamic of something so worldview shattering, something which is going to cause the Doctor real cognitive dissonance to come from the Master, I think that's great. I think that works really well. But it shouldn't be, I've found out about it all, I've already destroyed them all. It should be, I've found out the Time Lords have got a prison. I've found out that there's this child in this prison, they're keeping in this prison. And I can't do anything about it on my own. Go rescue him, Shada. Yeah. Or I mean, I was thinking some prison deep under the Capitol, some hidden dimensional prison they've got to enter and battle through to rescue the Timeless Child. Now, the Doctor and the Master uniting together to rescue a child. That sounds good.
Yeah, it's plausible.
I mean, that at least is a reason why the Doctor would agree to work with the Master. In the meanwhile, Omega has also become aware of the Timeless Child, so he wants this power for himself, so he can restore himself as leader of the Time Lord and overthrow the High Council. So in order to do that, he's going to lead an invasion of Gallifrey to take the Timeless Child by force.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So you've got a triangle of forces there. Now, to me, the Timeless Child absolutely has come from another universe.
Yeah. Okay.
And the mystery of the Timeless Child and why the Time Lords imprisoned the Timeless Child, because nobody knows why. Yeah, no one knows why this child's been imprisoned. Just know it's some dark secret at the heart of the power of Rassilon, who's being a total tyrant now from the leading the High Council. Yeah, so he wants to lead the Time Lord back into being a warlike society again, something like that. You know, so so from that point, then we get to Prisoner of the Jadoon and the Fugitive Doctor, but this time the Fugitive Doctor is the parallel Doctor from the Timeless Child universe.
Right.
So instead of being some secret version of the Doctor we never know about, this is another version of the same Doctor. Now we've got two 13th Doctors. Now you think about that from a woke SJW point of view and wanting to democratize the power sharing that would indicate for the white Doctor to share her power equally with the black Doctor. If you want to talk about symbolism and shit they could have done, make them equal, for God's sake. What they did was they made the Fugitive Doctor a second-class, sordid little secret that couldn't even be talked about.
Yeah.
That's no way to treat a black woman.
True.
Just what kind of girlfriends did you have on the side, Chris Chibnall? Speaks freaking volumes to me, boys. This is not a man who respects women.
No.
Well, look what he did to the Cybermen. Put big metal tits on them. Remember?
Yeah. Don't even go there.
Also, do you remember the line he wrote? He wrote in Torchwood where Owen is supposed to be a sexy line. Shoves I can't remember, up against the tree and asks her, "Have you ever come so hard you forgot where you were?" Seriously, that's Chibnall's idea of a sexy chap. Like,
oh, what a great! He must pull regularly with lines like that. He really must. Jesus Lord! Oh, I forgot about that line. Jesus.
So, with the arrival of a Fugitive Doctor, the 13th Doctor suddenly has someone much better to ally with than the Master.
Yeah.
So the Fugitive Doctor and the Doctor team up, and they grab the Timeless Child and leg it and get out of there, and they escape both the Master and Omega. At which point the Master then teams up with Omega and then recruits the Cybermen.
Wow.
So now you've got a physical army alongside Omega's energy army.
Right. That'd be a hell
Now
of a
we've got Omega and Master leading the assault on Gallifrey, with the Gallifreyan defense being led by Rassilon, but Rassilon being a tyrant. And then the Doctor and the Fugitive Doctor unleash a revolution on Gallifrey. The Timeless Child speaks and tells the secrets, but they are from an advanced version of Gallifrey in a far future, and they came here to raise up all other versions of Gallifrey. And that the Timeless Child came to give ultimate regeneration to all Gallifreyans. But that's why the High Council locked her away and rationed out regenerations to only 12 for each lifetime, to keep their power.
Wow.
Yeah, you see where we're going with this? I'm doing the same themes, but I'm doing it in a far more compelling way.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's this revolution, and then the power of the Timeless Child defeats the Doctor and the Master. She goes back to her dimension, and we've got a new era starting on Gallifrey. But that for a story.
Well, I think that's what we got. Yeah, carry on. Oh.
So, give me some feedback so far. We can flesh this out more. But, that's kind of how I've decided I would restructure Series 12 to kind of respect everything that had gone before, but to still do a dramatic new story. And, you could have taken down the patriarchy, but show, not tell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that is much better. And I actually like the idea of the Master and the Doctor being forced to work together. I cannot stand this crap in New Who about how the Doctor wants to be the Master's friend. That I hate that so much. It's so inappropriate. So I prefer the idea of the Doctor working with him. No, because that's a myth, by the way. Like John Pertwee was not wanting to be his friend. It's mentioned in one story.
Yeah, absolutely. They're not friends. They will never be
No.
friends. No,
the Master's
never
killed people. He's killed the Doctor's friends. I mean, it's pretty inappropriate, I think, for like Peter Capaldi to compare the Master's victims to Bill eating a bacon sandwich. So that's why I prefer this story idea where they're forced to work together. My only problems, though, with John's idea, to be honest, they're kind of the things that are problems with Chibnall's, in that it's like, I don't think that having the Doctor be, again, another new hook, but I'm not always keen to have the Doctor be like at the center of, you know, everything, if you know what I mean. I mean, to be fair, like, they were going to do that with the Cartmel master plan, so it's not unprecedented, but I prefer the Doctor to be a bit more of an underdog, whereas here it's like...
But in my version, the Doctor is still nothing more special than they've ever been. They're still,
no, I know, but
they're still a rebel Time Lord they've always been. They're not
I know,
any more specialness. Other than they've already been leader of President of that council, you know, I mean, that's classic Who's fault, that is.
I agree, but I was just saying that it's still an alternate Doctor, kind of at, you know, the centre. But I mean, again, I understand
a parallel Doctor. Yeah.
I think it would be better if it was just
also, I mean, think about if a series had been serious about a spin-off series. You know, why not have multiple Doctors on the go at the same time? It would have been. It would at least. I don't know. It would at least have been a far better idea than what they finally ended up doing with a future Doctor, which is like shoving him in a cupboard.
Completely. I agree. It's much better.
Down a hole, you know. If you're going to do it, at least have some plan for it.
I think it might be better. I think it might have been better. Your idea. It was obviously so much better than Chibnall's, but I think it might be better if it was a alternate version of Rassilon, perhaps, only because like this version of Rassilon could be more innocent, and the Doctor might be conflicted.
I had an idea for a kind of surprise ending.
Go ahead.
Where the ending is that actually what happens is that as far as the Doctor and the Master are concerned, Gallifrey is destroyed.
Wow.
Right? So they're left in the wreckage looking at ruin, right? And going, what the hell, everyone's dead or whatever. And then we get a sort of cut aside, right, where they're being watched from another dimension, right? And Gallifrey's fine, yeah, but they pulled a trick on the Doctor and the Master, because they're so much caught up with the bad old days of the Time War. But as long as they know Gallifrey exists, it will never really be safe. Something like that. You know,
that's a good idea.
The only way to protect Gallifrey from them is for them to think there's no Gallifrey anymore.
That's a good idea. You can have your cake and eat it too with that idea.
Yeah, and that also removed the Time Lords from the equation if you wanted another way of doing it. You know, you could have been so much more creative than what crap we got. I mean, you could even have Tech Team, you know, I mean, have all that stuff. Have her as Rassilon's mum.
Well, why not? Why not?
Or maybe his wife.
Have Rassilon as the child she experimented on.
Yeah, there's an idea.
That's a good idea, actually, because that might help again. Let's Rassilon. I'm not so keen on what they did in New Who, making Rassilon like the ultimate evil. I can see why they did it, because he was always quite shady. But I think that there maybe should be some more sympathetic sides to him, and that could be a good way of doing that.
He should never be a completely, a completely one-sided villain. I mean, we want complexity of character, but you know, the Time War brought out the worst in people, didn't it? But I mean, that would be much more satisfying, don't you think? For Rassilon to be the Timeless Child.
Well,
if you had to go it that way, but I prefer to see the Timeless Child as I think of it like the whale in the Beast Below. You know, it actually came to help, but got imprisoned because of fear and greed.
Yeah.
So the same thing with the Timeless Child. The Timeless Child would have built this new Gallifrey anyway, but got imprisoned to take control of its abilities. You know, so that explains why for Jodie Doctor's version of Gallifrey is a bit fucked up.
Just a bit. Yeah,
So,
I get it. I see it.
well,
Yeah.
look, those are basically, what I mean. We're not talking about scripts, are we? We're not detailing a
No.
script, but but those are the ways I would have looked at these ideas and looked to use them.
Yeah.
I think it would have been a lot more watchable. I just think if you want the Doctor to be this inspirational revolutionary figure, then make her an inspirational revolutionary figure.
Well, yeah, because that would work. That would work.
That's the worst thing of all with the 13th Doctor, was that everything was played so safe.
It's way too safe. Way too safe.
She's doesn't have any memorable villains. I mean, like, and also I noticed even the Master, the Daleks, and the Cybermen in her age all just became completely interchangeable. Like the Cybermen wanted to blow up the universe. It's like, what the fuck? That's not the Cybermen's, thing. They don't want to blow up the Master. Certainly wouldn't. And the Master's meant to be a coward. Remember, who, like, in the Deadly Assassin, went to unbelievable lengths to save his own miserable neck. But in Jodie's era, they were just all generic, and all the other villains were badly thought out. I mean, didn't she fight like Rags?
Oh God, yes, she did. She did. She fought bloody dish rags. Yeah,
Dish rags.
Yeah.
We're the psychic dish rags.
Oh dear Lord.
God,
It was really bad, wasn't it? The more you sit here and think about it, the more, oh my God, it was bad.
That idea was just bad on every single level. Who thought that a bloody blanket was a fucking menacing threat?
Oh, I mean, come on, really? I mean, let's remember, this is also the same series that gave us a talking frog on a chair.
Oh, God,
I mean, if you could have a CGI budget for it to wrap around someone and throttle them to death, fair enough. Like Doctor Strange's cloak can do some pretty amazing things in those movies, but that's not the level of selling it we're talking about here. I mean, it was bad.
Oh God, it's bringing back memories.
That planet which was supposed to be so deadly, they just ambled around on.
Yes,
because
it was so deadly.
The most substandard quarry planet.
Oh God, yeah. Worst quarry ever.
Where they had to be rescued by infinitesimal small chance by a passing spaceship. And they had to be rescued by 2 spaceships.
Oh,
just so they could do the exposition before they crashed both spaceships.
Remember the Pating?
Guys, remember the Pating? The Pating, that's a noise that... That's the noise that a M1 Garand makes when it runs out of ammunition. That is Pating. It's just, come on, really?
It's just Chibnall. I mean, he has no like. I don't understand how he could be that bad. But do you guys know? I mean, you might have read this, but apparently, WizKid from The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. A lot of this is just rumor, but he was apparently based on Chris Chibnall because Chris Chibnall, remember, showed up on that point of view to criticise Doctor Who
for season 23 on about the boring corridors. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not.
And WizKid's a fan of what's meant to be, Doctor Who, and it, and then it's quite prophetic if it was, because remember he gets his shot and so hard like Cthulhu kills him or something. So that was quite prophetic.
Let's talk about this seriously, though, because I know that you know about what not a lot of Doctor Who fans really are aware of, which is the Fitzroy Club.
Oh, yes.
And how from the 90s onwards, Doctor Who's been run by this essentially very much the same little clique. We've got Philip Morris coming on next week. If we start Philip on like this, it will take up the whole stream.
Well,
because he's got very strong opinions about this. But Chibnall is in the same clique as Moffat and RTD and Paul Cornell.
Gary Russell.
Gary Russell. Yeah. So how did it go so wrong? How was it that when it was Chibnall's time to be the one in the chair, he was so freaking bad at it? And why did it turn out to be him? I mean, that's just what's your take on that?
Ugh.
I think it was like Chibnall was the product, because as I said, it is true. Like the Fitzroy Club, they're named as such because a lot of them used to gather around the Fitzroy pub, and they were a little clique. They started with kind of the magazine; they were like the elite of that. Then they took over.
Excuse me. Like, pay attention, everybody. This is not conspiracy.
It's not conspiracy, no.
You know, this is Doctor Who history. The Fitzroy Club is the real clique.
They took over.
They totally took over. They totally took over until they were deposed
it was
in
a
2018.
It was a progressive thing. Like they started with the magazine, then the books, then the audios, then the TV show, and the TV show was a success for many reasons. But there was always a kind of wee like group of classic era fans that were unhappy with some of it, and they came up with, like, Russell T Davies came up with this. Well, not just him, but like the Fitzroy group together came up with this excuse that all change is good and Doctor Who has no canon. Now, Russell didn't believe that for his own work. Like, that's why his era worked mostly, because he actually did believe in continuity. He built up stories. But, you know, the others, I think, started to believe it and started to buy into it. And then, of course, when you throw like the identity politics into that, Chibnall is the end result. He's someone who's bought that lie, who thinks, okay, the best way to do Doctor Who is to smash up all the continuity and to throw in all this identity politics. And that's, you know, like, it was always going to reach his stage, I'd argue, when you've got a little clique who all think that way.
Is there some kind of twisted, jealous revenge behind all this? You know, was Chibnall breaking the toys to let the other boys know he resented their disrespect? Was it something like that? I mean,
well,
have you got any sense of it?
Maybe. I mean, that's actually what it lists as fact on the IMDb page, believe it or not. But, like, it does. Google the greatest show in the galaxy, IMDb. It says that on, like, and it's the trivia page for it. It's this. But, I mean, you have to remember, to be fair to Chibnall, apparently, according to him, he did make it up with JNT years later in the 90s because he said he felt bad about it. And it's not been confirmed completely that WizKid, although to us, I think it is, because when you look at WizKid, it does look like Chibnall a lot, by the way, but it really does. Like,
yeah.
Is it total match? Honestly, it's a total match.
I mean, let's be honest, it is. Let's be honest.
It's just it's going to be one of those mysteries which future Doctor Who historians may have better answers to. As well, how the fuck did Chris Chibnall get that job? You know, I mean, it is one of the biggest mysteries of the universe, which is as yet unresolved. So, you know, I know what Doctor Who fandom's like. We will discover the answer, but it will take time for the truth to leak out around the edges. But there's a hell of a story in there somewhere.
Not only
did make a drama about it.
Yeah, I mean, how did he not only get the job? How the hell did he keep it? Because, like,
well, he didn't really. To be fair, had a 5-season plan. Remember how did that work out for him?
Yeah. The 5-season plan. Yeah. So you're a bit short, mate. Bit short.
Now, have we got any ideas for improving Series 12 in any way that we haven't discussed?
I don't know. I mean, my own personal way I look at it is I'm still waiting for Peter Capaldi to regenerate. So I'm just going to say,
I know.
I'm
completely with you.
As much as, you know, I mean, I actually sat through every single episode, which was painful. It's just, I don't see any relevance to anything. It just doesn't make sense. And I'm afraid I'm just going to pretend it never happened. And when I saw Jodie regenerating into David Tennant, I just thought I just put Chris Chibnall, not Chris Chibnall. Well, yeah, he could have jumped off that cliff. No, Peter Capaldi's face, and that's where the regeneration is. That's it, as far as I'm concerned.
That is the hope and promise that we currently live with, isn't it?
That's all we've got.
I'll be honest.
All we've got.
It's going to be a bit better. That's basically where we are at.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
I mean, I can tell you that you'll get no comfort from Philip next week.
Oh, I know.
Because Philip's opinion very firmly is that we have already seen the best Doctor Who we're going to see in our lifetimes.
Yeah, we may be right there.
Or at least this decade. You know.
Well, yeah.
We've already seen the best it's going to be. I mean. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, recent events with the Suze Kempner thing have certainly shook things up a bit. We could only do what we as Doctor Who fans should always do, which is at least give the episode a fair crack.
Oh, we'll give it a fair crack.
That's what I'm saying. I actually really, really hate the idea of the Doctor regenerating back the way, and I think there's a really quite sad irony. Because for years I was told that I need to accept change, that I just can't cope with it. And my idea was just move forward. Like, obviously bring back the old villains now and again, but like actually move forward. Don't keep fucking going back to the Doctor's past, changing regeneration. But no, all these ones like Paul Cornell, they all did that. And look what happened. They changed it so much. They now have to go back to the point where they're bringing a previous guy back full time or, for Doctor. Hate that.
Well, for a run of three specials, for a run of three specials, which I think are going to be shown.
Someone pointed out. David Tennant could do the three Doctors by himself. He could play this one, the 10th Doctor. That other one. It's ridiculous.
Well, it is, isn't it? Let's be honest.
That would be very amusing.
Oh, but no. I mean, there is.
Excuse. Hang on a moment. Sorry, guys. Tardis Spider. Gobby and John White have the markers placed on prostate. CT scan next week. Radiation soon after. Good out that. We're with you, Tardis Spider.
Yeah, we are.
And
good luck, man.
Fingers crossed. This is nice and early, and can get you a good result. So
let's keep our fingers crossed.
The main thing is about it, so you can get something done about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, sorry, that was too important a message not to reply to. Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Carry on, please, Burrunjor. I've not interrupted you. I thought I had. Never mind.
No.
Well, I've lost the plot. Right. Where are we? Series 12. It's easy to get lost in the mist on this. Look, I think we've done a pretty good job tonight. As good
as we could.
We actually come up with some ideas which actually were okay.
There's possibilities to them.
I think the parallel Doctor solution to the fugitive Doctor, I think that's definitely got some legs. It fixes so many problems.
Well, it would solve a lot of things, wouldn't it? Let's be honest,
yes.
It could quite easily be worked in. Because
it did occur to me that there's a certain randomness to regeneration.
Yeah.
So if the Doctor regenerated in two different universes, would they get the same body?
Well, yeah.
I've always thought that. I mean, that's what kind of the Unbound series was about, wasn't it? That it was like these were. David Warner was sadly he died recently. A good alternate third.
Wonderful man.
It could have been along that.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh, great actor, amazing.
Awesome, absolutely awesome. But yeah,
he was actually one of the. Oh, sorry, Karen.
Yeah, carry on. No, carry on.
Obviously, it was David Warner. He was actually like one of the four voices of kind of 90s cartoon villains, because I think it's like or almost every American adventure cartoon from that decade has either him, Tim Curry, Mark Hamill, or Clancy Brown in it, or all of them as villains in it at some point,
somewhere along the line. Yeah.
So let's put that down as point one. Parallel is better.
Yes.
So that's our point one. Fixing series 12. Parallel is better.
Parallel is better.
Then we've got the sort of stuff I would come up with. You go, okay, look, if you're going to destroy Gallifrey, you have to freaking earn it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So my idea of okay, transform Time Lord Society, but have a revolution and have the Doctor at the heart of it.
Yeah, okay, to make him the rebel he would be.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So point 2, the Doctor is revolutionary.
Yes, so make it revolutionary. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
That's I mean point 3 is the Timeless Child. There are so many other ways to do this, but would still have a dark secret at the heart of Gallifrey, etc., etc. So point 3 should be the Timeless Child, anyone but the Doctor.
Yeah, I can go for that.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
That's the most important part, I think, of any of it. Anyone but, the Doctor.
Yeah. So there we go. There's our 3 main recommendations, which would have made Series 12 not suck.
Yeah, basically.
Aren't we wonderful? There we go. Well, they went and they hired Chris Chibnall instead. That's what offends me the most about the Chibnall era.
Yeah.
The terrible, tragic waste.
Yeah, because it could. Well, there's possibilities.
I hate waste. I hate wasted resources.
Oh yeah.
The cost of the Chibnall era. I mean, I think I've already pointed out on some stream that it would have financed 30 independent films.
Yeah. Exactly.
We could have given 30 Noel Clarks their first break directing their first movie.
We could have.
Or we could have had the Chibnall era of Doctor Who. I mean, there's no doubt that money could have been spent in a way that would have enriched our society culturally far greater.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
So I don't like waste, and waste of bad ideas are the worst. And with movies, the money which is spent on movies, and they come up with these crap plots, and it's because they've abandoned principles of storytelling in favour of principles of virtue signalling. And you're never going to get as good a product.
No.
But Series 12 could have been a fantastic series of Doctor Who. It could have been a series which could have brought fandom together and taken fandom forward. And if the show really had to dive into its navel, and why then? Oh, I know why, because they had control then. They had to do it then.
Yeah.
I mean, it was boom or bust, and they bust.
Yeah,
but we
gambled all along.
With people who actually loved the show, even these bad, vindictive, nasty-minded ideas could have been made to work.
They could have been.
Oh well, they weren't. Oh well, they failed.
Oh, well.
And oh well, a new era ahead, and let's see if Russell.
It's funny though.
Better.
It's funny though how a lot of people in Gallifrey Basin that still deny that the Jodie era was a failure. They still go on about how it was a huge success, and it kind of reminds me of Magnus Greel when he's being told the Zygmunt experiments were failure.
The Ceto experiments were a success.
That's exactly what it was like, as the viewers just went down every. No, it was a brilliant success.
No.
Well, I mean that matches the rising chorus of "Ree" from Twitter very well, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Goldeneagedgeek, you've been suspiciously quiet.
He hasn't had a chance to get a word in edgeways. That's why.
I've tried.
No, I found it interesting hearing your alternative plot for Series 12, because I've always been of the opinion that, I haven't even thought about how I would manipulate different parts of the series to make it better. I've always just been of the opinion that we just need to nuke the thing.
And I don't think, again, this is only a thought experiment. It's never ever going to actually happen. But hey, maybe this stream at least will allow you to have some ideas in your head. But you think, you know what, that could have been better, and it might help you cope with season 12 a bit easier. Make it sit in the corner, unloved and unwatched, but at least not quite as upsetting. Something along those lines.
Oh dear. I can just see people sitting in the corner, playing with it,
What?
oh dear me, I could have been so good. I could have been a contender.
I could have been somebody. That's exactly it. Oh, well, apply it to the roof, Doctor.
Well,
Tragic.
it is.
So it's tragic. So even the BBC retconned the poor girl.
That it was not good, was it really?
You know, you got a BBC. Wasn't she on the cover for Fugitive Original? No, it wasn't on the cover.
No, it couldn't have been because no.
But maybe for time. Was she on the cover for Time as Children? I think she was.
I think she was, yes.
So
Yes, I think she was.
in 2012 she's on the cover. Not 2012. Where the hell am I? In 2020 she's on the cover.
Yeah.
Time is a funny thing, boys. And this is the new Doctor. This is our stunning and brave first black female Doctor. Like then come like 9 months later or so into 2022, when the lockdown and stuff is going on, and then they do that special Doctor Who thing, which is supposed to include all the Doctors, that audio drama.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And there's only 13 Doctors.
Yes.
And if you remember, I challenged Emily about that.
Yeah.
Because I'm one of a few people on Twitter who tried to stick up for Joe Martin as an actor playing the Doctor. Honestly, these SCWs don't do nothing, never tried to do nothing for her.
No.
I pointed this out, and I think Emily was quite honest. Well, we don't really know where she fits.
Oh, there you go. Nice one. Brilliant.
Maybe if they hadn't added 50 billion. No.
But I mean,
that's explains.
So damn disrespectful.
Yeah.
Whereas the parallel Doctor way of doing it would have empowered her and made her an equal to Jodie Whittaker.
Yep. It certainly would. Oh well.
I guess some people didn't really want to share.
No, clearly not. Oh dear me.
I'm thinking last thoughts, boys.
Yeah, should we go? Should we do the round robin?
Yes.
We'll start with Golden Age Geek. Let him do his fit first, and we'll work that way around to come back to me then, and I can bring it to a close. So, Golden Age Geek, you're summing up.
Well, yeah, I think Series 12 and Duel of the Whittaker era was an absolute disaster. But, luckily, we've been fortunate enough to be able to talk to each other and, convey ideas and what we think would be better, which is what fandom is and what it should be. It shouldn't be, all these bots on social media just spouting nonsense. We're actually talking about what would make the show better because we actually do care about it.
We love Doctor Who.
That's why it's called it.
That's why we bothered talking about it non-stop for the last 13 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
With weeks more still planned ahead.
Yes, indeed.
So, absolutely, we love Doctor Who. I'm doing it to you again. I'm just going to take my Gobby.
Yeah, I'll try my best. Keep going. I'll have to mute you. Carry on, Golden Age Geek.
Yeah, and it's always that thing of, what we could have had. And what could have been. And that is, as John said, the most annoying thing because, under good writers who wanted to make the show a success, who had, pure intentions, it could have been absolutely great. And anything can be absolutely great if you put your mind to it. So that is really the most disappointing thing because you had a major turning point in, because whether you like it or not, them casting a female Doctor, that's how it was. And people had their perceptions from the off, but a good writer would come in and be able to persuade you to enjoy this, to be able to provide you with good material so that you would actually change your mind. A good writer can, shock you and make you think, oh, wow, this is amazing. I thought this was going to be terrible, but it's great. So that's just what's, the most annoying thing, in my opinion, is that, Chibnall had this opportunity and he just wasted it.
Yeah, can't argue with that.
We're all in complete agreement with that. Yes.
I think yes. I think we had. No one can disagree with that statement at all. Oh, I'm sure somebody will somewhere on Twitter. But there you go. There's always somebody's going to say something on Twitter against it. But there you go. It's true. It's true.
So over to you, Burrunjor. Wrap us up. What are your final thoughts?
Okay. Well, obviously, as I said, there's no denying that the ideas that have been presented here would have been better than Chibnall's shitfest. I mean, but personally, I'm also of the thing that I just don't think a female Doctor is a good idea, and I think that really the only way forward for the franchise, so to speak, is an alternate sequel series that can still cross over with New Who in a No Way Home fashion now and again, but like really we need to get back to proper Doctor Who, you know, none of this bullshit like trying to build a shared universe, none of this like trying to, you know,
we're not
like,
going to be seeing a female Doctor again for
I know, but
time.
Even then, no degenerating Doctors. Just have the Doctor played by a weird, preferably middle-aged or older, eccentric character actor like Dylan Moran or, you know, Julian Barrett, someone like that. Go for that type. None of this like hero romantic Doctors. Let's get back to proper focus on adventure stories. That's what I want. And as I said, I think the only way we're going to get that is
you can have romance. You
between the companions, yes, but not
between the companions.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. I would have no objection.
Companions that really love each other and will go take extreme risks to save each other and everything else.
Yeah, that could be brilliant. No objection to that.
Yeah, let's leave the Doctor's character. You know,
yeah, just don't have it with the Doctor. Have him be like the dad figure.
Yeah, absolutely. The Doctor should not be somebody that the audience is being encouraged to have sexual fantasies about.
Yeah, absolutely. But have the companions. I mean, cast any like, you know, young sexy actors as companions. Do a love story like with them. Make that part of it, because I will say it's fair to say that some of Classic Who maybe missed a trick that way. Like Jamie and Zoe, for instance, could have been a good, you know, couple. But like, never did anything with it.
Jamie and Victoria, even
yeah,
also, perhaps.
Yeah.
That was Outlander. Outlander was just completely taken from Jamie and Victoria.
It was completely.
So there's potential with that type of stuff. But my point is, I think an alternate sequel series, like we'll have to wrestle it from the Fitzroy crowd's hands, and then give it to people that actually not only like Doctor Who but like sci-fi.
You see, this is the big problem. This right here. What you just put your finger on it, and this is what Philip's going to tell us next week as well. The problem with Doctor Who coming back under the control of RTD is it's putting it back under that same clique who basically ran it down in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. I was devastated when I heard it was RTD coming back for that reason.
A fresh start.
Nope.
And the question is, okay, let's assume whether we as fans like it or not. Let's assume that there's a relaunch of the series and it is a big hit on Disney Plus and it does pull in a new audience and it is a success and it's going from strength to strength. Who will replace RTD in the future?
Another person.
Because he's already said he's not going to do it all that long. I think the most we're going to get is 3 years.
Mm-hmm. If we're lucky, yeah. If
we look at, you know, I mean, there were some interesting potential choices in the group that was being floated around. I mean, I would have liked to see the Jermo Krasinski take on Doctor Who, but I mean, that's not going to happen.
Peter Jackson was my guy.
Yeah, Peter Jackson also floated. He was interested, but I think names like Douglas McKinnon were realistic. You know, and I think you've got a track record, Discovery of Witches, and so on. I mean, he's probably a potential guy.
Adrian Hodges.
But the worst thing would be handing it over to Mark Gatiss, say.
Oh God, yeah, it could easily be Mark Gatiss.
Oh yeah,
very. Cast himself as the Doctor. You know?
Yeah, he's already back. He's already back in the writing, which I knew he would be.
God, really? Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind him as much, by the way. Like, I just don't think his stories are as bad as everyone makes out. But it's like, can we get some fresh blood?
But we know who isn't going to come back to the writing, unfortunately. Poor old Gareth Roberts, you know.
Yeah, of course. He's been cancelled.
That's not going to happen. Well, he voted Blue Party. That's it. He's done.
By the way, Russell T Davies actually blocked me on social media.
Hooray!
Oh my!
Because I I brought up because him and a lot of the fans were getting like quite self-righteous and all like, you know, blowing smoke up their arses about ones like Gareth Roberts. So I brought up that they're working with Neil Patrick Harris, who famously he created a cake of Amy Winehouse's rotting corpse like a few weeks after she died, and he posted it all over social media. And I pointed out,
he's a little strange fella.
If you're going to ban Gareth Roberts for offensive things, I mean, I'm not saying that I want Neil Patrick Harris banned, but I'm just saying it shows you why cancel culture is stupid. Because if you search far enough, you're going to find everyone's done something nasty or horrible. But Russell T. rather than respond to that, just
let's be honest. Like that, what Gareth Roberts is guilty of is like one tweet where he basically suggested that in the 80s, the gay guys thought the trannies were a bit silly. That was it.
Well.
But I don't agree with him. Like, just to be clear, I'm one of my best friends in the whole world is trans.
It's just an opinion.
Yeah, exactly. You know? And it's not worse than Neil Patrick Harris. I mean, he was mocking someone who died.
I mean, if you're telling me as a group, the gays and the trannies used to take the piss out of each other, I completely believe it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing more human than that.
No, nothing more human than that.
Yeah, I mean,
forget.
As a Scot, I'm a Scotsman, and you're all English peoples, and we never took the piss out of each other. You know, groups
never.
We've gone like a house on fire all through our history, haven't we? never a sore word ever said.
Oh no! Always nothing but love.
Yeah, never met on fields trying to kill each other with swords. No, that never happened. No. We were so friendly to each other.
Well, I hope we've shown that even the most unloved parts of Doctor Who, even the parts of Doctor Who which are frankly doomed to swill around the arse end of fandom polls for the end of time.
Forever. Yes. Well,
to which pretty much the entire Chibnall content has been firmly squished down the rump end of the polls already.
Oh, it's there.
It's even making Time Lash look good.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
Is something.
Oh, I know. Time Lash. You know, Time Lash is.
Time and Rani is having something of a critical reappraisal.
So Time Lash is an anagram of lame shit, by the way.
Thanks for that.
Glenn McCoy spent 14 months working on that title.
Lame shit. It is, though. That's the best.
You must check out our Colin Baker stream because we had fun when it came to Time Lash, didn't we?
Oh, God, yeah. We did have fun with Time Lash.
But
Darrell was a genius in that.
I hope we've shown that even these parts of Doctor Who had promised to be so much more if they just had a bit of love.
A bit of love and a bit of time. And
we love Doctor Who, and we love Doctor Who fandom, and we want there to be a better future for all fans.
Yes.
As hard as that is to see in these terrible, benighted times through which we are living, keep the faith. One foot in front of another is how we get somewhere. And showing that we can have diverse opinions, disagree with each other, but also have fun as fans, I think is what we. If we have a message, that's our message.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, be fandom like it used to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can absolutely reach common ground with people. I mean, I've always said, one of the people that I get along with the most in fandom, I mean, we're not friends because we don't know each other, but is Claudia Boleyn, who's a real SJW fan. But
I know Claudia. Yeah, with her infamous video. Didn't she do Chris Chibnall in the British Empire?
Yeah, something like that. That's what I'm saying. I get along really, really well with her. So that's what I'm saying. It shows you that you can reach a common ground with kind of anybody.
She's so deep red. She makes Jeremy Corbyn look slightly mild.
Well, yeah, she's not going to make any qualms about that. That's a fitting description for her. It's
good to know you can have a conversation with her. I mean, all credit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
If you've actually been able to engage her and have a talk with her, and she hasn't just blocked you by no more.
No. She mentioned me in one of her videos. It was when she had depression, and I was supportive because I'd been there. And she thanked me for that, even saying that. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Joe, even somebody who could make such a misguided video.
Well,
It still has it within them to be a part of a unified fandom. We should all come together. It really is about us and our will. So let's try to be a little bit kind and at least recognise that when there is good in things.
oh, absolutely, yeah.
And, we're all just waiting to see what we get come November.
Yes, indeed.
Anyway, I want to thank everybody for taking part in this experiment.
Yeah.
I think we've more or less got away with it.
Yeah, well, we'll wait and see for the comments section in about an hour or two time.
Yeah, well, comments to at least say that the ideas would have been better. I mean, that's a lot better. At least we didn't come up with something worse.
Well,
We didn't manage to make Series 12 worse. God, we'd have to be bad to make
You'd have to
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Even my 8-year-old daughter could write better.
My dog could write better.
Oh, yeah, let's be brutally
And I don't
honest.
even have a dog.
What was the old saying? A room full of monkeys and typewriters. There you go. Well, there you go. Any case, shall we bring it all to a close, gentlemen?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So we'll see everybody next week, usual time.
Usual time.
5:30 for our interview with the one and the only Mr. Philip Morris.
It's going to be an interesting one to do, that is.
Yeah, definitely.
So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring this one to a close. Now, remember, as we've just discussed, we have more in common with each other than we do have differences, and perhaps we should learn from that now and start looking to be liking each other, because if we don't, as we've all said, with the diverse way the world's going, it will not end very well for all of us. We are, wonderful human beings if we want to be. And I think sometimes we have to bury this blind hatred for no reason. So with that, thanks very much for watching, and I shall look forward to catching you in the next one. Bye-bye.